My watch is showing 7 o'clock. We will call to order the monthly meeting of the City of Helotes Economic Development Council, August 17th at 7 p.m. Open session, public hearing. Do we have anyone signed up for the public hearing?
No, Mr. President.
Okay, we will, I guess, adjourn the public hearing. We don't have anybody for citizens to be heard.
No, Mr. President.
Okay. I've had a request from a board member to pull the consent agenda items and consider them as individual items. So if we have a motion to discuss item 4, approval of the special joint meeting minutes dated July 14th.
I make the motion that we pull them for discussion.
Already pulled them.
Right, so you need a second then?
No, I just pulled them.
All right,
Just a motion to discuss item 4 first,
okay.
the meeting minutes.
So I just wanted, for my benefit, since I was not here last month, to go over the minutes so that I get up to speed on what I missed. So if I could have staff sort of go over the minutes for my benefit to catch me up to speed on where we're at, particularly with the Linear Parkway. What happened there?
Well, Rick wasn't at the meeting either.
Okay. Basically, the information that we got back from the bid on the TxDOT letting of the project, and I don't have those notes in front of me, so I apologize. The project was going to be approximately 500, is that right? Oh, $385,000 more than what we had initially anticipated. And that was without looking into the contingency for the project, which we anticipated another potentially 10 to 20%. So the EDC, by the end of total expenditures, if we moved forward, we'd be looking at almost $1 million. It was a little over 900,000. So the discussions during the last meeting were whether or not we could look at pulling some items from the grant, which we'd found out through Mayor Schoolcraft that was not a possibility to pull a large enough chunk out of this project to bring it within our budget that we had already approved. Cancel the grant, or
And what, remind me what the value of the grant was?
the grant is 1.25 million.
1.25, and was that a matching grant?
It was an 80-20, and that was their 80%.
That was their 80% to our 20%.
But that 20% ended up being a lot higher.
Right, and so what was our total expenditure to this point?
Everything out of pocket to date is $548,806, and we anticipate getting somewhere between $240,000 and $300,000 back.
240 and 300,000 back. And what makes you believe we will get that back?
Because we didn't move forward.
Those are payments we made to Terra Design?
No, those are actually the payment to TxDOT for our 20% match. They had to have the money up front before moving forward with the project.
Oh, we paid that to TxDOT.
Yes. We paid them a total of $312,000.
Okay, all right. And what did we pay to Terra?
Roughly 235,000.
Yeah,
If I recall.
We paid them $235, and we're holding a $36,000 check.
And what's their position on that 36,000 we're holding?
Their position or ours?
Have they already done the work for it, for that 36,000?
I would say that can be argued. Did they fulfill 100% their contract obligations to the city? I would say Mr. Wooten and Mayor Schoolcraft don't believe that, because they did not give us a project that was within our funded amount.
But they did several things that call it into question. First, they did not submit any documents to us until a week before they had to be submitted to TxDOT in a final form for review by the city and/or the EDC. Secondly, all the
Were their
suggestions.
deliverables outlined on a timeline? I mean, did they fail to comply with the contract, or
The
was that?
contract said they would provide them to the city for review, and that was not provided in a reasonable fashion. Number two, they did not take any suggestions made by the EDC and the city council to incorporate those. They basically ignored several of the direct questions and issues that Mayor Schoolcraft presented to them, did not even address it, and came back, when they were told to change some issues to save money, they came back with a plan that actually cost more.
So can it be said that Terra Design was unresponsive in their contract? And that in fact, we
Yes.
shouldn't have to pay them anything? Because the product they've created is something we didn't want?
That would be a question.
And so
for the
that we can
auditors.
sue them for the funds that we've already given them?
That's a question for, I don't know if we've addressed that at all. Rick?
To date, we haven't addressed that. We just know from the staff level that both the EDC and the city council voted to withhold the final payment of $36,000. We have been contacted by their attorneys.
We have been?
Yes,
By their attorney?
yes.
I would suggest that perhaps the 36,000 isn't enough, and that we might want more back that we've already paid them, and may be worth suing them for that if they're not willing to agree to that, since they haven't been responsive to the contract from the beginning.
It's certainly a point to consider. That action would have to be taken by the city rather than by us, because the contract actually for the project was with the city.
Well, the Terra Design Group was a three-party contract: city, EDC, and Terra.
Okay, so we do have
And how much was the city in for?
On the Terra contract?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Nothing. It was just a
all ours.
partnership there.
Yes.
All right. Who was our point of contact for Terra?
The two principals, Mark Zach and Walter Hurd.
And from the staff side, do you guys feel that you got the responsiveness you needed? Or in hindsight now, looking back, thinking, you know what, that really wasn't the kind of contract responsiveness that we deserved or agreed to within the contract, and it's worth pursuing something?
I prefer not to answer that question in
Okay,
public.
all right.
I have a, can I,
We could go into closed session if there's a legal issue that we need to discuss.
We would have to have an attorney present
Okay.
to go, so that would be something that we could discuss at a subsequent meeting in closed session. But I don't feel comfortable in a recorded meeting and televised meeting to have that conversation.
Fair enough.
when they submitted to TxDOT, did they fulfill our needs that we had expressed when they submitted to TxDOT? And do we know for a fact what they submitted? Do we have that paperwork?
Yes, we do have the paperwork that they submitted to TxDOT, including all the reports and everything that the archaeological, the historical, the environmental. Yes, we
Their
do have-
findings? on
Yes,
all-
we do have all of that, yes.
Okay.
Well, I'm comfortable with the review of the notes, so I don't think we need to go into that any further.
So we'll discuss with Rick and Glenn is on part of the city and the EDC, and if we need to, I guess we can, next meeting, have an executive session if we wish to discuss it further.
Yes, sir.
I would like to point out on the dais regarding the minutes, item number 6, I put a highlighted section suggesting a modification to the minutes that were provided in the packet. And it was the general consensus for the EDC to enter into a public parking lease agreement with Martin and Timothy Terry for an amount of $400 per month, plus payment to CPS Energy for security lighting.
Is the maintenance just assumed?
Yeah. Yes, I would think so. That's what the city usually, the mowing of the grass.
Yeah, the city would handle the mowing and the ruts and things of that sort. This would just be the actual dollars spent on the parking lot, which would include a variable amount for the CPS Energy lighting. It's around $50 to $60 a month, plus the 400.
Let's just add it. Just from
I know they
minutes of
wanted
last
us to
meeting.
do some work on that property. Is that still,
No, that is not a part of the lease agreement.
okay,
The lease agreement stipulates that the land is as is.
Yeah, that was our suggestion, I think, Kathy, that we make improvements and reduce the lease payment for the term of the lease to pay for the cost of the improvements. And Mr. Terry was not interested in going that way. He just wanted to,
and he's okay with that? Because I know he wanted the improvements, right? Isn't that what we had discussed?
He had suggested it, but upon
It's
the
okay.
counteroffer, yeah, it was, he'd rather just have the
he
simple
wanted
monthly.
us to make the improvements and still pay him the $500
Right.
a month. And we came back with the 4 and.
And he was
Until-
okay with that?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
he's signed off on this.
Okay.
Contract, yeah.
Okay. All right, good.
Okay, any other questions on the minutes? Do we have any questions that want to be discussed on item 5, or, well, a review of the revenue expenditure report for the month? Any questions on that, Keith?
Item 5. So that's the revenue expenditures.
Right.
No, I don't think so.
I did have a question on the building and grounds. With a current budget of 4.3 mil, we've only spent about $1 mil this year. Is there a reason for that, or are we missing something?
This is under the capital account?
Yeah, it's page 1.
That's not EDC related.
I'm sorry, I'm confused as to where, can you refer me to the right page? Is it this capital replacement
Yeah,
03
capital
account?
replacement, page 1.
Under administration, the building and grounds, 4.3.
Current budget, 4.3 million, year-to-date, 1 million. And we're essentially through the budget year.
Oh, I'm sorry. We have spent $1 million out of the 4.3. That is the proceeds from the 2015 C of Os, to which the EDC was a party. The 1 mil, that's predominantly city money. The 1 million that we've spent so far is, it would include EDC payment to TxDOT of the $304,000 for the administration of the linear park. It would include a $300,000 payment on a city project for a bridge on FM 1560. It would include, let me go through here. It would include some fire department capital purchases on the city side related to a physio control Life Pack 15. And it would include the monies that the EDC spent on Terra to date for the total of the 1.06. So the remainder of the money, the 3.2, is all city money. and that will be used predominantly for the water and sewer line construction.
Okay. Pre-allocated?
Yes.
Okay.
Those are all broken out in another sheet, aren't they, Rick?
The individual payments out of that account,
Yeah.
they are broken out in Encode, our financial software, but they're not included in your packet since they were mostly city-related, but we can provide that to y'all if you would like.
Well, you included the payment to TxDOT for 300,000 and the amount for the bridge, so we're several $100,000 worth of EDC money was part of that, right?
No. Out of the 1.06 that's been spent to date, 559,000 is EDC money.
Okay. Well, that's fair enough that that should be broken out, I imagine.
It's not on page 4?
It is on page 4.
Page 4,
Okay, there you go.
yeah.
That's what's been spent, but I think to his point, it's not
26.
what's planned to be spent.
If you're asking me for a breakdown of the 559,232, is that what you're referring to, sir?
So, I guess I was asking where it was in this.
Oh, there you go. It's on page 4.
So page 4 has the actual, but we don't know what's budgeted, or do we, Rick? That's-
Yes, page 4, you'll have a current budget column.
You know, we have the budget, we have the actual, but we don't have what's planned to be spent.
For the subsequent fiscal year?
Yeah.
No, we do not have anything planned to be spent, but that'll be under item, we'll go through that under item 7 when we go through the proposed budgets for FY '17.
Very good.
Any more discussion on item 5?
No, I think we're good.
Any questions or comments on the quarterly investment report, item 6?
Just to review where we're at on it is all. Just to whatever y'all got last.
I can quickly go through it. The period ending, this is for the period ending June 30th, 2016. The beginning book value for all of our investments in cash on the EDC side was $923,000. The ending book value was $582,000, a change in market value of $341,000. Now, this includes capital monies, operating monies, monies that would go to the city's debt service. So the change in market value of $341,000, if you flip over to the subsequent page, you can see that's related to the change, predominantly the change in the EDC capital account of the expenditure of $444,789. Again, that's related to payments predominantly related to Terra design payments and the $304,000 that we spent, that we had to provide to TxDOT for our 20% and administrative fee for the linear park. Of that, it was said, how do we know that, I believe it was you, Mr. Muhlstein, that asked, how do we know we're going to get the money back from TxDOT? Jonathan Bean, who heads their design department there, has indicated via email that there will be a substantial refund of the monies, the administrative monies that we've paid to TxDOT to date. They couldn't give an exact dollar amount because it has to go through their state accounting system, and they look at things as how much are the feds going to charge them for administration for this project, how much have they expended to date in staff time on administration. So they do not know, we do not know yet how much we're going to get back from the state. We do know that it should be substantial, but what that means, I don't yet know.
Okay. I'd like to see those numbers when they come back, and I know you'll bring those to us as they come forward.
Okay, if that's all on item 6, we'll proceed to item 7. Could we have a motion to presentation from the staff and discussion and action on the EDC fiscal year ending 2017 operating capital budget.
So moved.
Before we do that, I'm sorry, can we get a motion and a second for items 4 through 6?
Oh, okay. We have a motion to approve the consent agenda items 4 through 6.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes unanimously. And again, I guess we have a motion from Keith to open discussion and action on item 7. We have a second.
Second.
Second by Diane. Okay, I guess at this point, we'll turn it over to staff to go through the budget.
Here.
So hopefully everything on here works as planned. This will be our presentation for the fiscal year ending 2017 for both the operating and capital budgets of the EDC. We can review our mission statement to promote, encourage, and enhance the creation of jobs, the expansion of the local tax base, and our quality of life through projects that assist in the retention and expansion of existing employers and which attract new employers and aid in their development and growth. Our vision for Helotes includes a balance of sales and property taxes that takes into account our town's historic roots and unique environment, resulting in an improved quality of life for all Helotes citizens. So we put in a recap of the last strategic plan that the EDC approved, which on capital improvement projects included the water and sewer project along State Highway 16, the support of community enhancement projects. We had business development, which falls under recruit new jobs, businesses, and aid in their development. Primary employers, our retail strategies partnership, entertain incentive opportunities, our participation in local trade shows, conceptual land planning, and our ETJ development plan. And then we have support existing businesses and aid in their expansion. We have systematic business visitation, which is also done with partnerships of the Helotes Chamber and the former HAMBA. Our shophelotes.com website, which is our business directory site. Entertain incentive opportunities, and then we did have the business improvement grant in prior years. Effective communication, focus on brand consistency across all communication channels, implement a targeted communications campaign. So far, we have created a new Helotes booklet. We've implemented social media, 90% through with unified branding. Created a brochure, and then we did a destination video, which is both on YouTube, we had it on Facebook, and then we have it on our website. So all of those in a nice little chart of the key areas that we focus on. So year to date, for 2016, our projected revenues are $647,000 in sales tax and approximately $1,454 in interest. Our projections for 2017 would be $670,086 on revenue and $2,200 on interest. And looking at it since 2010, looks like I'm gonna have to click each one of these. So you can see a steady increase year over year in the sales tax that's coming to the EDC. Yeah, some years we've had as much as 30% growth, and others, more recent, it's only been about a 3.7%. Now, getting into the actual meat of the proposed budget, most of the line items, as you can tell in your packet, have maintained. We've included the audited budget for 2014, 2015, the estimated year budget on 2016, and then proposed for 2017. So memberships, dues, and licenses, we're maintaining the $7,000 item. The audit fees for Armstrong, Vaughn and Associates, $2,900. School seminars and conferences, we have at $2,500. The two, and actually that's 3 conferences. It's ICSC here in Texas, our regional conference, the Las Vegas, and then also one that we now do in Austin called Retail Live. And that's $9,000 total. We do have new bank, so we are not refunded all bank fees anymore, unfortunately. So we've had to include that in there. And right now we're estimating about $500 based on the last few months. Legal fees, we always put something in there just in case. So we put $2,000 this year. It looks like to date we've spent $1,000, and I believe we just had another invoice for about $500. So we're right under that 2,000 mark for the last fiscal year. And then on business retention and expansion, workshops and promotions, we have at 1,000. The 380 reimbursement, which is, if some members that may not know, we have a 380 agreement, an incentive agreement for the Helotes Bandera Road Plaza, so the property right across the street with Bad Dogs Beer and the Fink Cigar. That was a tenant improvement grant through the developer. So it's estimated $3,800 a year for reimbursement. Then we have our retail strategies. That's what the market analysis and recruitment program is. That's $30,000. If you recall, last year we spent $35,000. It was kind of a tiered structure downward. Next year, if we renew the contract, it'd be $25,000. Then we have the parking lot lease agreement in Old Town Helotes with Mr. Terry, estimated approximately $6,000. We have, we did up conceptual design and land use plan to 15. Last year, I believe we had 7,500 initially allocated. There's a couple of projects that we see on the horizon that may need some incentive to further develop the plan that we want to go out and promote, to have a conceptual, a visual aid when we market the retail center. And then our marketing budget of $30,000 is just down $5,000 from last year. Website development of $1,000 for both the EDC site and then for the Shop Helotes site. And that also includes hosting of each of those. Our management service agreement with the city of Helotes to have office and other services, the accounting service, of $15,000, and then a lump sum of salary benefits. I think that's all in that item, not to exceed. So total contractual services, $196,087. And then we've broken down in what we've called commodity expenses, office supplies and equipment, $1,000, operating expenses including postage. All the, we do visitor guides for Helotes, and we mail those to the visitor centers. Just mailed one box yesterday. It's about $27 to get 500 brochures out. It's quite heavy. Communication equipment allowance for staff, the mileage reimbursement of $250. And it's, so total commodities, $4,050. Then we have our debt service. The $150 is for the refund of the water sewer line to the city for 3 years. This is the second year. So we have one more payment in 2018. And then we have our new debt service of $25,706. And that was originally for the Helotes Creek Linear Park project to pay for the 477,000 roughly we had in the C of O. There is some discussion about possibly moving forward with a pedestrian bridge and other services or other improvements in the district. So right now, we're still in discussion with the city. I know we're pulling some RFPs and trying to get pricing on bridges, finding the best alternative.
Well, that basically would be, that is the debt service on the remaining C of O money that we would fund to the pedestrian bridge if the city is working on doing an RFQ or RFP on that to get the work done, and the city, we will administer that ourselves. The city will administer it. There won't be an outside agency administering the construction of the bridge. We'll do that ourselves.
Right, the city would be the GC for the project. And then our old debt service combined almost 300,000, and that was for the Old Town project. So total debt service of $471,019. So then a summary of our beginning fund balance, it's estimated at $723,084 for 2017, and then total revenues of $672,286. Expenditures of $671,156, and then ending fund balance then of $724,215. Are there any questions?
Why do you have a quote by Mitt Romney up there?
Where'd that come from?
Blame it on Schoolcraft.
Can you go back to the prior slide, please?
Yes.
So we haven't included in here the capital budget. The reason that we haven't included a capital budget at this time is because we don't know how much money we would be getting back from TxDOT related to the $312,000 that we provided to them. The EDC, for all intents and purposes, has spent all of the C of O money that it has related to the 2007 issuance, the remainder of what was left after the Old Town improvements, and all of the money related to the 2015 issuance, which was the $477,000. So in the iteration between, this will come back to you in another iteration in September. And so it's our hope that between now and September 17th, whatever date that is in September, that we will have confirmation from TxDOT at that time how much we will be receiving back. And so then we can plug that into the capital budget and start budgeting that for like a pedestrian bridge or other amenities within Old Town. That money has to stay within Old Town because it was dedicated to the Helotes Creek. You actually took it out for the Helotes Creek Linear Park. So you can only spend that money on the things that we listed in the C of O issuance, which was the trail, the pedestrian bridge, bicycle racks, trash cans, things of that sort. So once we get a firmer handle on that, we will include that in a subsequent presentation to you on the capital budget. Now, what happens if come September and we still don't have a response? The capital budget is, you can approve the capital budget after September 30th. And what I mean by that, y'all aren't on a hard deadline like the city is that it has to approve a balanced budget before September 30th of 2016 for the subsequent year. What is critical for everyday operations is that you approve the operating budget for the subsequent year so that we can start spending money essentially come October 1. We've already done our 60-day publications in the Express News. We have done the postings on our website. Everything that's required by state law for an EDC, we've already completed. And all of the projects, if you will, are included in the budget that we have presented to you tonight. So, long story short, I don't have an answer for you on the capital budget yet, and I didn't want to just guess, and so that's why we put maybe there, because it all depends on how much TxDOT is going to refund to us. Again, it should be significant, If I had to venture a guess, I said probably $275,000 would be coming back, plus would be coming back to y'all, but I just don't know yet.
So are you looking for action on the operating budget tonight?
No, we aren't looking for action on anything tonight. That will be at the September meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll have to have this public hearing, and you have to have the other public hearing in September before you can adopt.
Okay.
Glenn, just because I don't know, the ongoing expense for the market analysis, it's listed here, market analysis and retail recruitment. Why is that an ongoing expense? Is that something that they do provide a report every year, or
Last year, we contacted with a group called Retail Strategies, and I did provide
yeah, I see that here.
a quick summary of them. They are now kind of the retail recruiting arm of the EDC. So they go to a lot more trade shows than we go to across the country. And then they also follow up and set meetings with not only developers, but site selectors for these companies. And Pitch Lotus, I mean, they're pitching several opportunities for a developer. We fortunately are the only ones in Bear County right now they represent.
And that's a decreasing expense, you said, that they have every year it comes
It
down?
is, it was initially set up, their typical agreement is about $34,000 a year, year over year, and we negotiated something a little different, where we I would say front-end loaded, but it was 35,000, then it dropped to 30, and then it would drop to 25.
And then it will remain
Made
there?
it 25 until we decide not to move forward. So initially, we signed a 3-year agreement, but we do have the right to terminate it anytime.
I noticed you didn't make any mention of our input to the budget. You sent us a spreadsheet, you said fill it in, you wanted to see our thoughts on that.
Yes,
Is that helpful, or did it mean anything? I do see some major adjustments and some.
I had 3 other directors that submitted the forms to me, and I tried to go through and just average for the most part, and included that. So I did use it on my, judgment to present this tonight.
Okay. Good.
Any other questions?
Basically, what this is what we do every year. Several people are new. We have the budget's prepared by staff, and this is the first real presentation to the board of directors. And if we have any questions or anything we wanted to change on it, or any major issues, that tonight would be the time to address it, because the next meeting will be the final budget hearing prior to approval, pending what we get back from the capital budget, and we'll modify that later if we have to.
Well, we might want to look at increasing the legal fees budget. Just saying,
I put some money.
we might need it.
Well, we don't have to do that right now. If we
You can always do an adjustment later.
if we get into that situation, normally what we do is just do an adjustment. We'd end up with a balanced budget next year. It might end up being paid for in the term of the budget, and it might kind of come out of the reserve. But there's no way to budget a number on that, so I'd rather just leave it at the $2,000 figure, and we'll address that at the time if we need to.
Fair enough.
That's okay with everybody? So do we need any action on this, Rick? Motion to proceed as,
No, sir. We just needed comments or
okay,
questions.
we just did the comments, so we fulfilled that portion of it. Item 8 is discussion and action on the creation of a marketing program providing Google 360 visual tours to businesses located within the corporate limits of the city. If we could have a motion to discuss item 8.
We have to have a motion to open the discussion.
I think we do.
We have to have a
We're supposed to have a motion to open the discussion on every
It's
item.
already on the agenda. Point of order. Does anybody know that? Rick?
City council does, I know that.
You don't need a motion to open the item.
Open discussion.
To move to the next item?
The chair, the president acts as the parliamentarian, and so if that is what he would like or she would like, then that is the procedure that you would follow.
But it's
If,
not
is it,
ordinary
is it,
in the Robert's Rules of
is it,
Order.
is it absolutely critical? No. But if that's something that the chair would like, certainly,
Oh, that's up to me?
that is up to you, yes, sir.
Oh, in that case, I don't think we need.
Yeah, council does not have a motion and a second to open the item for discussion. They do a motion and a second on the item as written. And so they just dive into the conversation. And then there is no need, once they vote, to do an additional motion and second, as long as the motion maker is okay with the item as presented. So it's really up to the chair.
I think it probably would be more apropos to make a motion after we have the discussion. We may or may not take any action.
Right.
If we take action, we'll make a motion to take the action. Just to open discussion, let's just open it
Yeah.
as written. And then when we have the discussion, we'll ask for a motion to adopt the 360 program
that's
or to.
Completely up,
table it.
completely up to you and the board.
Let's
Go
just
ahead
talk
and-
about it.
Let's just go ahead and talk about it, basically, what this is the same thing we did last year, or year before.
2 years.
Year before and into last year with all the businesses in town. And I don't know if y'all have all seen the 360 presentation. It's really a neat thing. You go online and, do you have one on there you can show, Glenn?
I do. I'm going to show the two ways typically we see it. So if you go into Google.
You need to be on the mic. Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay. So if you go to a Google search,
It's because you hit the bottom. Use the other. Use the,
okay, we'll try this. So yes, if you go to a Google search and you're looking for a business, and this is not going to work too well. You'll see the little box pop up to the right side. And this one I search Helotes Festival. So it pulls up the association. Then you'll see the C. Now we're going to get real fancy. You'll see the C inside. So it's just one way to access the virtual tour. And so John, when we did our program, actually went out during Carnival, and you can walk the entire grounds and see everything that's going on.
That's cool.
So we did this for approximately 73 businesses 2 years ago. We also can get the embedded file. It's almost like a video that we upload, and this is our Shop Helotes directory. So under the John Floors listing, we can embed the same video, so when people come in, they can walk around and just kind of take a tour. I was going to try to go out the door, so it's not responding quite right. So anyway. So if people are unfamiliar with the business, they're able to go on, get a familiarity, see if that's a place they want to go and visit. There's some stats that were put, I believe, in here. And if not, I can provide it to you on searches. So imagery in and of itself makes a difference. 97% of searchers, now this was performed by Google, so let me throw that out there first. Say images have an impact on making a decision.
Do we know how many people have used it? I mean, is there a use, like,
There is not.
Okay.
I can add to that. Helotes Lions Club runs their bingo operation twice a week. And since we had this done, we have almost tripled the number of bingo players.
Wow.
And as the treasurer of the Lions Club, I work bingo a couple nights a month, and I ask new people that come in, how did you hear about us? And they say Google.
Wow.
And
So
we do have.
It is effective.
We do have things like that from local businesses. I know Ken Dempsey at the Gardens, with that particular project, he said this is the best thing that he's ever seen the EDC do. And for his business, this would have cost thousands of dollars for him to go and hire someone to perform the work. And he has clients out of state that are booking the venue that have never stepped foot on the property, and they've seen it just through this.
Wonderful.
So the business also gets the embed code, so they can put it into their website. So it's pretty versatile.
And you
They're
said
also-
70 businesses did it last time?
Yes.
Wow,
That seems
good.
pretty good.
So since we didn't really have a lot of programs in the budget this year for business incentives, retention, expansion, any of that, and we've had a lot of new businesses come into Helotes, and we've also had several businesses that didn't get a chance to participate the last time we did the project. Just thought it might be a good idea to bring it back before the board and see if there's some interest to move forward. My thought, I've kind of worked on a list, and it's not all comprehensive, but I have 32 businesses that have not participated. Majority of those are new to the city. So if we go to the very last page in the packet, I would suggest, somewhere around the 5,000 mark on the 35 units, understanding that not every business, and I'll kind of explain the units.
Yes, can you explain that, please, first? Before you-
It might be a little convoluted or confusing at first glance. So on a typical contract for a Google business tour, you pay by the size of your business, and that's determined by panos. So those are at each point that a camera has to be set up and take a 360 spin. That is one pano. So a small business can get up to 10 panos. Floors Country Store was actually in excess of 40 panos that was done at that facility. So for a small business, that would be one unit. And then for a medium business, 2 units. It was a way that he could try to price it and lump together and make sense without paying per business. So for, he has on here, for 2,500, you get 15 units. So that's up to 15 small businesses, or reduced depending on the size of the business. For 5,000, you get 35. And then the price per unit, kind of drops.
So is it fair to say that for 15, so if the EDC decided they wanted to do the $2,500, 15 unit points would give them 150 pano points, or locations?
Yes, it's not really determined that way specifically. It's more towards the overall unit. Some locations don't need 10. A good example would be well, it's not there anymore, sorry. I was gonna say Alpine 10, a nail salon. It's so narrow and short, they don't need 10 panos. You could probably go in and do 4, but it still counts as one unit.
Oh, I see, okay. So so what you're saying is, one business, whether they use one pano or
Up to
10, it's
Is
one
one
unit that
yes.
we would be paying for.
Yes,
So 2,500 would give us 15 different locations,
Up-
basically.
up to, yes.
Up to, yeah.
Is there a potential that we could share cost with the business owner?
We could.
Instead of picking it up all ourselves? I mean, they have everything to win by this, especially at half price, and so do we. Right?
Yes,
You said we got about 35 new businesses that you would
yes.
put on the list? So we're looking at only
We're looking at 5,000 then at least.
$5,000.
Yes, and I would say take it out of the marketing line item, so it's not really an impact to what's been presented.
We did this initially, it's the appearance that or reception we got from most of the ongoing businesses in the cities was that this was the first thing that the EDC had really done that gave a tangible benefit to the business and gave it to everybody that wanted to participate. And since we did the initial one for free for the businesses, I'd kind of like to go ahead and budget the $5,000 on it and let the EDC pay for it and give that benefit to the new businesses in town to kind of get the EDC name out in front of them and build some rapport with the business community.
Yeah, I agree.
I like
I
that.
think it's a small enough amount of money that
Yeah, we're not talking about a lot of money, and to them,
it's a big deal. It really is. It would be.
most of them probably have never seen it and will really think it's great. And it gives them the ability, somebody, well, they can just tell somebody if they call, well, look on Google, and it'll show you. It'll give them some marketing information for people contacting them, and like cold call marketing for anybody that happens to go on the site and look at it if they're looking at Lotus.
Glenn, do you think all these 35 businesses are one unit each, or does?
No.
No.
So there's an application, first come, first serve? Is that how it's done, or?
That's the way we structured it last time. There would actually be, I guess, 3 agreements. There's an agreement between the EDC and the contractor, and then there's an agreement between the contractor and business, and then the business and the EDC.
And we're proposing to utilize the exact same contracts and everything that we had before, correct?
They worked last time without any issues. The basic one between the EDC and the business is giving us the rights to the photos and the embed and all that kind of stuff.
And this is Helotes proper, not ETJ?
Yes.
So do we have to
Corporate
pay
city
the
limits.
contractor and Google separately?
No.
Or is that inclusive?
No. He is a licensed Google photographer.
Okay.
And then, I know last time there was a lot of discussion on how we do the payment and everything. He is okay if we pay per unit complete. So if he does 5 units this month, then he gets, 5 times 133. If he does 1, then he gets $133.
And he's not gonna bill us for, if we say $5,000 and we only have $3,500 worth of applicants and people
Right.
that participate, we just pay them the $3,500. We're not signing we're just signing a budgeting up to a certain level, and he won't bill us for anything except the work that's performed.
That is true.
When that amount is gone, that amount is gone.
Yes.
Whether or not we've covered all 32 of those.
Would he entertain, if it did run out and a business wanted to get it at this price, would he still allow them to have that price?
I'm hopefully will. I have not asked, but that is on my list if we move forward.
Well, and plus, if that happened, we would come back to y'all anyway and ask if y'all wanted to increase the budget number
Oh,
to
okay.
allow them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could,
I mean, it's not
I
much money.
expect we could pay enough to cover all of these, if they all wanted in on it.
Yeah,
You know
we
what
could,
the total cost would be for all of them, do you imagine?
I haven't sat down to see which ones would qualify for small, medium, and large. My best guess would be we'd be a lot closer to 50 units total, not 35. But, last time we did the project, there were several businesses we hit multiple times that just, for whatever reason at the time, they weren't interested.
So
Even though
we're
it was
looking
no
at
cost to them.
$8,000 anyway, roughly for 50 units if we did all of that, and still that's a small amount,
The question I have is, let's say we did wind up at 50 units, right? But we only paid, our package, if you will, was $5,000 or $143 per unit. Between the additional 15 units, would that be the $143 per unit?
Yes,
Okay, so we're locking that price in,
right,
even if we may spend more.
right.
Okay. So what we would be looking, Chair, from y'all tonight is to implement this program October 1st and after, and an amount not to exceed out of the marketing budget of whatever dollar amount is ultimately approved. That's what we would be looking for tonight, so we can start advertising this program to the businesses that have not taken part in it thus far.
All right, well, I make a motion then that we accept this program and follow up with it and set a not-to-exceed budget of $8,000.
I second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passed unanimously. We will create a marketing program providing Google 360 visual tours to the businesses in town which are not currently participating, not to exceed $8,000, starting October 1st. Item 9 is, I think Glenn gave us a flyer on this too, somewhere. Or it's in the book under 9 for the Chamber of Commerce
Chairperson? should-
Awards Dinner, asking that we sponsor a table for board of directors and staff to attend, which I think
Good idea.
shows good support. What everybody else think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Kathy,
Yes.
Joel?
I'm a director. Should I excuse myself?
Yes.
Yeah.
You just wouldn't take part in the vote.
Paul?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Sorry.
We have a motion to sponsor a table for the Lotus Area Chamber of Commerce Awards Dinner. Motion,
Can I ask for some clarification? At what sponsorship
Down
level?
Second page.
There's 4 levels here.
Second page of 9.
Well, I think where we get the liquor wagon.
it's only one bottle of wine.
No, it says one free drawing for liquor wagon. I see a wagon.
That's 2 bottles of wine?
I would, if we've got, I would
Six-pack.
suggest that we sponsor at the $500 level.
That's fine.
That gives us room for 8 people, which would cover the board and Glenn. We might let Rick go. Add that, motion to read, sponsor a table at the Denham sponsorship level. All right, Keith?
Yeah, I was just going back through this.
Okay.
I know,
What
look
kind
at
of
all this
goodies we
stuff.
get at
This,
the diamond level.
I know, look at that. What's a VIP reception? What's that?
An hour before, there's gonna be a drink,
Free cocktail,
free cocktail hour prior to the,
Event?
yes.
yes.
Are we going with the Denham level, or do we want to go higher?
Well, if we go with the Pearl, we put our, the EDC logo on the program.
That's true.
Absolutely.
Get a lot more visibility.
We do have the opportunity to put marketing material in
Director,
the-
if I can, you're abstaining from this vote, so if you wouldn't speak on the item.
Can't speak at all. Okay.
Yes.
Can we use extra casino tickets, the 880, can we get that up to 100? Just playing.
I like the idea of the logo going on the invite.
I do too.
It gets the EDC name out there, and we are trying to market ourselves, and so I would support going at least to the level where we can get our logo on some of the merchandise.
So that's the Pearl?
Yeah.
Okay, let's have a new motion then.
I move that we sponsor a table for the dinner at the Pearl sponsorship level.
I second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passed unanimously. And I think that concludes our business for the meeting, other than Glenn giving us an update on commercial development and hotel feasibility study as the last item. Glenn?
Okay, I'll do the quick update on developments around Helotes. We do have 2 new businesses in Old Town Helotes, Burlap Junkies and Ease Bees and Creations. And Ease Bees is honey and other mainly related items. They do have maple syrup and beeswax products. And we had their ribbon cutting a couple of weeks ago. As you can see, Dollar Tree is very close to opening, probably any day now. And then Sunrise Pediatrics, so we have our second pediatric clinic in Helotes, and that's in Hill Country Crossing, the two-story structure. And let's see, Helotes Creek Winery is under new ownership and at a new location. They're at the Bluffs, so it's near the traffic circle. And they should be opening this weekend. I'd say that's it on the development updates. The second page in there, under this item, is a consulting contract, a hotel feasibility. So when myself and Rick went to ICSC in Las Vegas, we met with numerous hotel ventures. Every one of them that we sat down with asked, do you have a hotel feasibility study? No, do we need one? And for them to invest the kind of money into an unknown market, that's what they need. Many times if it's a market like San Antonio, Chicago, a major metropolitan area, they'll pay for it themselves, but they typically don't pay out of pocket for a rural area. The best hotel chain we sat down with probably for half an hour was Choice Hotels, and he actually gave us recommendations of several consulting firms that give, in his opinion, an honest recommendation. There are many companies that will do whatever you tell them to do. So we reached out to Spurrier Consulting, got their estimate. I believe it's $4,700. And then I did contact a couple of other agencies. There's a couple here in San Antonio and around the country, and looked at some other cities that have done feasibility studies, and they can range anywhere from $7,500 all the way up to over $15,000. So the $4,700 is a very reasonable price. And then part of it, she will do her initial look to see if the area can support, if there's enough demand. And if there's not, she stops. She doesn't do any further research. And we're not out the entire contract amount. We're only out the deposit, which is $2,700.
And we do have a couple of pieces of property, or three, that would fit the needs to put in a small, not a big hotel, maybe a three-story at the most motel, and there'd have to be some study done for the fire department too on having a structure over 2.5 stories high, but that's the purpose of it, to determine if it's economically viable to pursue.
And whether or not that fits in with Helotes' character or not. If the hotel is something we want to pursue.
Well, this study wouldn't look at any of that. This study is purely looking at whether, economically speaking, it makes sense for a hotelier, actually, to build a hotel in Helotes. We do have a hotel occupancy tax that has been adopted for both the city and the ETJ. Unfortunately, we don't have any hotels that generate any tax there. And so I know one of the things from the council has mentioned it, the mayor is very much so on board, at least looking at this and presenting that at any given time to council for consideration. But this is only trying to determine whether we should even be approaching hoteliers to see if, because these guys are experts in just probably walking to the site and saying yes or no. But they won't even come out and talk with us until we have some justification for why there is a need for occupancy in Helotes.
Do we
Particularly
have a
given,
height limit or something that you know of in the code as far as buildings?
Just height.
we have a height, plate height, excuse me, it goes from the plate to the top of the ridge of the roof for commercial developments. I believe it's 40 to 42 feet. Now, given the right development, it could go to P&Z and go to city council for consideration of a variance, depending on what type of hotel and what kind of development we're talking about. Like I said, right now, we're just wanting to know whether we have the ability to attract and keep a hotel within the city, particularly given the hotels that are already there at 1604 and Bandera Road. When we met with Choice Hotels, they have the ability to pull this information up from their laptops, and they pulled it up, and they looked at it, and they said that there is some, I guess there's still a lack of hotel rooms in this area. So off the top of their head, they said, yeah, Helotes probably would be a good idea to look at for a hotel, but still, we want justification, and they basically want verification from a secondary source that it's.
You know, of course, that we're on the national stage now.
Yes,
in
of course.
sports.
Yeah,
We have a national sports team.
that is correct. This is something that we would put under we would spend out of this fiscal year's budget and would be out of the feasibility study line item that we have. Staff already has the authority to execute this contract, but given some of the reservations that the chair brought up about bringing this before the board, we're looking for a general consensus as to, before we execute this, that y'all are willing to go along and at least entertain the idea of looking into a hotel feasibility study.
Yeah, I think it's worth having a look, just to see what the opportunities are.
But it's gonna cost us $4,700?
That is correct. We have $7,500 budgeted this fiscal year, and we have not spent any of it. So we have a month and a half left.
Okay.
And so we would like to do it on a hotel concept if we can.
And this
I'd
is
be
the
interested
first
in
step,
seeing what that is.
Yes.
the very first step. We don't estimate what kind of revenue the city or would bring
They
in.
will do a revenue estimation. It's more for the hotel standpoint of how much money they stand to make based on property price, what rent they can charge.
Well, we could
but with
figure out
those
the
numbers,
hotel
we
tax
can.
off of
Yeah.
that number.
Exactly.
Yes, but it also depends on the type of hotel that they will recommend coming in. There is limited service hotels. There is a mid-range, which would be like a Hyatt Place. And then there's, of course, the top of the line, JW Marriott's, Ritz-Carlton's, and I can assure you, we're not going to be in that field. And then there's the resort level, like the La Cantera Resort. So what my initial gut, and so Choice and Glenn looking at this, is we're probably in the limited service, but I would count it as a win if we got to the mid-range where they have some conference room space, buffet, continental breakfast in the morning. It's just a little bit nicer of a hotel. But that's what this study will tell us in addition as to what kind of category we should be looking at.
They're gonna tell us bed and breakfast. I'm just saying.
2 rooms.
2 rooms and a little tiny conference in the kitchen. Yeah,
Well, they may come back and say that it's not feasible.
yeah. That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Carl,
Yeah, I'm in. Sounds like a great idea.
go for it.
That's all I have.
Did you want to make a comment on the softball team and any activities that we might want to be involved in?
It is 8 o'clock. The game actually comes on tonight at 8:30, ESPN2. If the Greater Helotes Little League softball team wins tonight, they've won their World Series. So I am working with some of the parents in Flores Country Store in the city to do a parade on August 27th in Old Town Helotes, hopefully about 10 a.m. We'll get a flyer out to everyone, and then do a block party from 11 to 3 at Flores.
And the EDC can participate in that, right? Or should we have a proclamation or something? I think it's exciting. I'm very
no
excited.
business
No,
will
I
be
mean, I think it's
discussed.
exciting. It's probably more appropriate for the mayor to make a proclamation in that
course,
case. And so, but yes, we have the ability to do that.
We don't have anything on the agenda, so we really can't take action on it.
No. And I think he's already looking at doing the proclamation.
Well, we could engage
I'm
the
positive
staff
that
to-
I can guarantee you we will be doing a proclamation if they win the World Series. We'll be having them at council meetings, and of course, I'm sure many of them will attend this function.
No further business, we'll adjourn the August 17th meeting at 8:08 PM.